Terrence Bud Crawford and Danny Swift Garcia with a Twitter war, plus on the verge of Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder. All that and more on Friday's Check Hook. Welcome to another episode of Friday's Check Hook. A lot of news to deep dive into today. A Twitter war breaks out between WBO welterweight champion Terrence Bud Crawford and Danny Garcia, who will be challenging for the vacated WBC version of the 147-pound title. So this was kind of out of nowhere. There hasn't been a whole lot of beef between the two of them previously. They're on other sides of the promotional pond. And neither one of them are really big trash talkers. So this was a little surprising. But Crawford started it saying, yo, at Danny Swift, look, you didn't do what I did at 140. I was undisputed, something you was never. I fought the guy you were scared to fight, came up to welterweight in my first fight, fought a champion. I didn't need no tune-up fight or get handed a belt. To which Swift replied, I'm not going back and forth with you, I'm fighting somebody else. But you have no notable wins. I already beat you for free, why wouldn't I do it for some millions? Well, what Danny Garcia means by that is he beat him as an amateur, but Crawford also beat him, so it's kind of a ridiculous point. So there's a couple of interesting things here that we're going to get into. First, Danny Garcia has been known for the past few years now for absolutely cherry picking. If he went and fought Crawford after he fought Porter, win, lose, or draw, you could never label him that ever again. You go from one of the premier welterweights to the number one pound-for-pound fighter in the world. No one can accuse you of cherry picking. As for what they said, Crawford says Danny never did what I did at 140, and I want to get into that on who actually has a better resume at 140. Right? They were both unified champs at 140. Terrence Bud Crawford was undisputed, but let's look at really who has a better resume at 140 because it's interesting. Most people would tend to say Danny, and you could make a good argument for that depending on how hard you want to argue it. Look, Crawford beat Indongo, he beat Felix Diaz, and Victor Postal, and Thomas Dulorme, all at 140. So Dulorme, Postal, Diaz, and then Indongo. And Indongo was already a unified champ. So you guys don't think Indongo was good? Well, you're wrong. Okay? Indongo put two really impressive victories together, just a couple months apart. And then Crawford dismantled Indongo. To me, the Indongo win is still the best win, all things considered, the way he did it that Crawford has, and Crawford's the best fighter in the world, so it tells you how impressive I think that victory was. He also destroyed Felix Diaz, who's a good fighter. Felix Diaz rightfully beat Lamont Peterson, to be fair. He deserved that decision. Crawford blew out Postal, and he blew out Thomas Dulorme. He knocked him out in the 6th round. He barely lost a round. I think the last time you could really say clear-cut Crawford lost a round was to Thomas Dulorme. Dulorme handled him well. He fought him tough. The scorecards were pretty close. Dulorme won at least a round or two in that fight. We had it 3-2, and Bud stopped him in the 6th. But since then, Dirijan, Hank Lundy, Victor Postal, John Molina Jr., Felix Diaz, Julius Indongo, it stands to reason that in all those fights, Terrence Crawford hasn't lost a single round. Now let's compare that to what Danny Garcia did at 140. And Danny Garcia had done a lot at 140. He's going to have more names. But I want you to measure, who's in their prime and who's out of their prime and the degree in which they were handled. Okay? Let's start with Danny. Ashley Theophane. That's a good win that at the time didn't mean much to us. But in retrospect now, we look at Ashley Theophane. He's a pretty good fighter. He beat Mike Arnautis. If you're from New York, you're from the Queens area, you're Greek and know who that is. He beat Nate Campbell. That's a good win. Nate Campbell was completely old and washed up at that point, fighting at 140 pounds. Kendall Holt, very good win. One of the best wins she has at 140. I took a split decision there. Very good, very competitive fight. If you haven't seen that fight, I recommend you go back and watch it. And that was a WBC and IBF welterweight eliminator fight. Then he beat Eric Morales, who was stripped of his belt, stripped of the WBC belt for not making weight. Really good competitive fight there too. Fight of the year type of fight. Then he knocked out Khan in an upset special. Really good win there. Put together WBC and WBA titles in that fight. Then he stopped Morales in the rematch. Then a fight we scored for Zab Judah. Really tight decision. I'm sorry, we scored the fight even. We scored at 113-113. Really, really competitive fight. With Zab Judah. 50-50 fight there. Then he beat Matisse. And then, he did Danny Garcia things. He fought Mauricio Herrera, Brad Solka, and then he fought Lamont Peterson at a catchweight. So, look at the names. He's got Matisse, good victory over him. Close, but good victory over him. I would say the Postal win. Postal's better than Matisse, and Crawford destroyed Postal. He's got a really narrow decision victory over Judah. He beat up a washed-up Eric Morales twice. He knocked out Khan, good win, and he beat Holt. So if you look at the prime names, he's got an aging Holt. We'll still say that Holt was in his prime, even though he really wasn't at that point. Then he's got a win over Khan and Matisse. So those are the names. They're good names. Danny did a good job at 140. If you're asking, and then he's got a couple aging fighters in Eric Morales and Zab Judah. So if you're asking me, honestly, I think Crawford got the better resume at 140 because he unified. He stopped Indongo, shut out Diaz, destroyed Postal, and destroyed Delerme. He did good things at 140. Either way, that's not really relevant. Then Crawford's right. Crawford jumped up straight up to 147 and beat the man who beat the man, right? I mean, we can say what we want about Jeff Horn. Look, Jeff Horn beat Pacquiao, and Pacquiao proved he wasn't washed up in his next outing against Matisse. Matisse gave Danny Garcia life and death. So you can say what you want about Matisse not being very good, and he was never a real world champion. Well, he gave Danny Garcia one heck of a fight. So, where are we going with this? Terrence Crawford, you could say Terrence Crawford doesn't have the best resume. Well, that's not really reasonable. Terrence Crawford has a lot of good wins. Danny Garcia said he had no noticeable wins. Well, Jeff Horn, legitimate 147-pound champ. We went over the names at 140. At 135, he beat Gamboa and Burns. I mean, these are big names. He's got more quality wins than Danny Garcia does. And that's an unpopular thing to say because Danny has more bigger names. He's got Morales and Judah, but Peterson. But how good are those guys, really? I mean, Postal's better than Peterson. He just is, right? If Postal fought Lamont Peterson at 140, or even I would say 147 or somewhere in between, Postal would beat him. So the resumes at 140 are comparable. When you add in what Crawford did at 35 and 47, Crawford's got the better resume, right? To be fair, Danny doesn't have a better win at 47 than Crawford does. Crawford's win against Horn is better than anything Danny has at 47, right? It's better than Paulie Malignaggi or Robert the Ghost Guerrero. It is. It's a better win than that. Jeff Horn would have laid both those guys out, especially at the point where Danny Garcia fought him. So, I don't want to say that Danny was handed a belt at 47, which he was, but he did a good job at 40. The point is, Terrence Crawford's resume, apples to apples, when you compare it and you look at how he did it and at what stage those guys were at when he fought him, Terrence Crawford's got the better resume. That being said, why Danny Garcia is getting involved in this when he's got the fight of his life with Shawn Porter. And we keep going back and forth on this. This is a really good fight. Danny Garcia, I could see him outboxing Shawn Porter, counterpunching him, and winning the fight on the cards. I could also see Shawn Porter mauling him to death and stopping him, and Danny not really having enough power to keep him off of him, and Porter just being a physically stronger fighter just wears him out and stops him late in the fight. I can see either of those things happening. Right now, if you put a gun to my head that you got to pick one, I'm leaning towards Swift Garcia to eke out a decision over him. But get back to me. I'll have an official prediction show before that. But if he won that fight, and he should be focused on that fight, because if he loses that fight, he really goes into obscurity. He really does. People don't really think he's that good anyway. They've called him Cherry Garcia now for several years. He's always the guy at 47 whose name was amongst the best, but he was always viewed as kind of the weak link by many people. Like, okay, all these other welterweights would beat him. Pacquiao would beat him. Crawford would beat him. Spence would beat him. Porter would beat him. All these guys would beat him. So he really, really needs a win here over Porter. So he should be focused on that and not worry about anything that Terence Crawford has to say about him. That being said, if he does win, that is a huge if, right? This is a 50-50 fight. Either guy can win this fight. I'm leaning ever so slightly to Swift, but absolutely Porter could beat him. If he does win this fight, if he jumps in with Crawford, now he will be a huge, massive underdog, but I would give him all the credit in the world for taking that fight. I don't know how he beats Bud. I think Bud's at a different level right now. Like we talked about, Bud barely loses a round to anyone. The last time he's clearly lost a round, is to Thomas Dulorme. How many years ago was that? When was the Dulorme fight? 2015. We're going back 3.5 years. The last time he fought a fight. And before that, at 35, he beat guys like Beltran. He beat guys like Gamboa and Burr. He beat so many good names of fighters in their prime. I don't want to say he makes easy work of Danny Garcia, because Danny Garcia is a legitimate two-division champion. Really, really skilled fighter. Lots of talent from Danny Garcia. How does he hang? He has no advantage. Yeah, I think Bud would take a decision over Garcia. If not 120 to 108, maybe Garcia gets a round or two. But it's a one-sided fight. But I'd give Garcia all the credit in the world for that. And let us know what you think. Do you think Garcia is being serious? Obviously, they're on different sides of the promotional pond. It would be a difficult fight to make. Do you think that this fight can come off? Both guys are speaking a little bit reckless. Both guys have a lot to say about the other. Is this a fight that you'd want to see? Should Garcia win? If so, let us know if you think it's a reality. And obviously, we would favor, like we do against anyone in the welterweight division, we would favor Terence Crawford. And we'd give a lot of credit. If Danny Garcia did take this fight immediately after fighting Shawn Porter, and let's say it happened in the first quarter of 2019, could we definitively shed the Cherry Garcia nickname, right? Can we go back to calling him Swift Garcia instead of Cherry Garcia? Because I don't care who you are, you fight those two guys in a row, Shawn Porter and Terence Crawford, you're not a cherry picker, period. But let us know what you think. Leave your thoughts, comments below on that. We want to get to other news as well. Big news in the heavyweight division. Something we are really excited for. Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder. We're really into this fight. And how close is it? Well, Steven Espinosa of Showtime, the network it would be carried on, says we're very close. It looks like November 10th or November 17th. So they've already narrowed it down to exact weekends. This is big news. We know that Tyson Fury has a fight coming up next weekend in Belfast. Taking a step up from his last fight, but nothing crazy. I mean, I really don't think these two fights get you ready. After what he's been through, it's not like he stayed in shape. Right? It's not like Tyson Fury. I'm talking about stayed in shape. He stayed in the gym every day and just took 2 years off. He took 2 years off plus, and then came back 2.5 years, really, to be fair. And then he gained 150, he weighed 400 pounds. He had a drug problem. He was drunk all the time. He did not take care of himself, so he abused himself. So there was going to be a process to get himself back. Now, he's not going to be all the way back, and that's the only downside I see of this fight is I think he needs another tune-up, right? The initial plan was to give Fury 3 tune-ups. And then, I guess going into 2019, have him ready, locked and loaded to go, back to 100% or close to it for 2019. Now, he's not going to be at 100%. So my question to you guys is, do you think, and it'll probably be safer to answer this question after next weekend when he fights again against a little bit higher level opponent than Zephyr Zavari, is that his name? The Romanian cruiserweight. Is this version of Tyson Fury back in shape enough, back enough to make to where you're okay with this fight happening, right? Or do you think he really needs another tune-up against another higher level opponent, and that this fight would best happen next year? Either way, if it happens in November of this year or April of next year, we're fine with it. It's a great fight, and I said several times, I think Deontay Wilder, from Wilder's perspective, he can make more money in this fight than he would against Anthony Joshua, because he could get a more favorable split of the purse, right? He already agreed to take $15 million against AJ. So they already have him on record saying, okay, I'll take 15. Now, if he can manage a 50-50 split with Fury, he really can, because he's got the belt. Fury doesn't. I know Fury's never been beaten. He's the lineal champion, but he doesn't have a strap. He doesn't have any hardware to bring to this fight. So Wilder can negotiate a better split. I also think, and I don't think, Fury's a bigger draw than AJ in the United States. He just is. If you look at their fights, Fury's fights do higher ratings than Anthony Joshua. Fury sells the fight better. He's got the Irish connection. Tyson Fury is a bigger draw than Anthony Joshua. This is not a debate. This is not something we're going to have, right? Just go look at the numbers. You don't believe me? Go look at the numbers. Tyson Fury is a bigger draw than Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua is not a big draw in the United States. If you're listening in the UK or anywhere else in the world, I understand that he is, but Tyson Fury will equate to more pay-per-view sales than will Anthony Joshua. It's just the way it is. Look at they both fought Klitschko, who did a higher rating. Tyson Fury is almost twice as high. Why? Because he's a bigger draw. It wasn't even a good fight, right? I mean, the AJ fight was, fight of the year type stuff. The Tyson Fury, Vladimir Klitschko fight put you to sleep, right? But he's a bigger draw. It's possible that this next Tyson Fury fight, look, AJ does 300,000 to 400,000 live views on Showtime for the Parker fight and the Takam fight. That's not a good number. Tyson Fury might do that on the YouTube app and the Facebook app against an opponent no one's ever heard of. He's a bigger draw. So there's a lot of money in this. And the way that Wilder got shafted by Eddie Hearn in the negotiation, left dry for 3 months thinking he was going to get this fight, and then it never happens. I'm glad that he gets a chance to get this massive payday, because I didn't want to go see him fight Brazil or something like that for $1 million. I really wanted to see him, or $2 million, and that's a lot of money. It's more than I see. But I really wanted to see him get a massive payday, which he deserves. And if he wins this fight, you could argue that he's the lineal heavyweight champion of the world, the man who beat the man, right? Anthony Joshua has no claim to that. Fury does. He's the man who beat the man. If Wilder beat him, he would have a claim to that, and that would be another negotiating chip for him if he did want to fight Wilder next year, which he still says Wilder's not going to fight me next April. I mean, Wilder says AJ has no intention of fighting him next April. I don't know how that can be. They've said they already signed the contract for April, and that Joshua would give him until January to sign it or what have you, so it's no rush. But, I don't know. Wilder says that AJ has no intention of fighting him. Wilder's been dragged through the mud, so he may have a better view of this than we do. But let us know what you think. Is Tyson Fury ready for this? Will you be satisfied with this fight? Do you think that Tyson Fury is back enough to make this fight worth it? And will you consider the winner of this fight the legitimate lineal heavyweight champion of the world? I will. And again, everyone thinks that I'm knocking Anthony Joshua. No, I think Anthony Joshua would beat Deontay Wilder. What I'm saying is, in a way, Anthony Joshua is a paper champion, so to speak, but it's an era of paper champions because he didn't beat Tyson Fury, right? Tyson Fury is the man. So I would view this fight in a way as the real legitimate heavyweight champion of the world. Let us know what you think. Am I being crazy? And again, I'm not hating on Anthony Joshua. I'm hating on Eddie Hearn a little bit. But let us know what you think. Leave your thoughts, comments below. Let us know if you think that the winner of this should be considered the lineal, legitimate heavyweight champion of the world. And if you think Tyson Fury is back enough to make this fight compelling. For Friday's Check Hook, this is 3D Boxing, signing off. Thank you, and God bless.
Enjoy 3D Boxing vlog videos? Show us some love by clicking the like button. Don't miss a tweet, post, story, or video. 3dboxingvlog.com is also on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Hit the subscribe button now to stay inside the ring.